Welcome back. After all that talk about the light, I wanted to talk about something which is consistent, reliable, and trustworthy in meditation, and that is the breath. And that's what we want from meditation. We don't want something which is too mystical and out of our reach, because you may turn many of your meditations into a struggle that way. So you want something which is there for you every single time. Whether you're meditating an hour or 2 hours or 5 minutes, the breath will always be there for you. It is 100% reliable and consistent. And that's why the yogis use it. That's why they turn to the breath. It's the very first thing that they do. Every time. Across so many supposed different practices, the breath is always key. It's always the starting point. When I created the breath states biofeedback, I threw out everything that wasn't the breath, because the breath is so reliable. It is the biggest handle that we have to really make a change in the body. And that's why all the yogis turn to it. And so we should too. So light and sound are wonderful. I reached this point a long time ago where I could hear the sound every time. So I hear it now. And I can see the light every time. So I see it now. Just like that, and it's there. So that's now reliable. But that didn't happen right away. And in the beginning, I needed something which was 100% there for me every single time, and that was the breath states. You see, what happens with the breath states is as you progress in contacting different cerebrospinal centers in the spine, there's an automatic reflection in the two nerves that terminate in the nasal passage. Those two nerves affect the turbinates in the nose, which are these little, I don't know, these little round thingies that affect the breath. So if you're in a dusty place, they can close off the nose. But when you're in stress, it seems that they are either inflamed or not perfectly balanced. The nerves don't allow them to be perfectly balanced. So by following the breath states, we bring those turbinates into perfect balance, into a peaceful state where they can retract and allow the breath to become easy and without obstruction. And that's a really big deal. That's the final breath state, right? So there are 5 breath states. The first breath state is in the center of the nose. It's just a general feeling. So what I do is I clean out the nose before I sit to meditate, and then I get a feeling for the breath as it passes through the nasal passage. And then I notice if there's a shift. And if there's a shift, I celebrate because I've done something. And that's what you want in meditation, because otherwise you're just sitting there. You don't know if you accomplished something or not. So what was it worth? Was it worth something? You don't know. And you want to know. You want to feel accomplished every single time, because that's going to propel you forward. The second breath state is in the tip of the nose. You'll feel the air suddenly wants to pass right next to the tip of the nose. That's a big shift. It's very apparent. And it's really exciting when you first start to feel it. The third breath state, the breath, as the turbinates shift, the breath will move up, and you'll feel it pass through the bridge of the nose, way, way, way up where the nose meets the face. Not on the outside, on the inside, of course. And then the fourth breath state is a little more subtle, but you'll feel it on the sides, where your glasses might rest. You'll feel it on the sides of the nose, inside the nasal passage. Now the fifth breath state, all of those are removed. All the turbinates are pulled back. You're allowed to breathe easily and effortlessly without obstruction, and the breath runs through the nose without touching any point. So that's a recap on the 5 breath states. And if you stop your meditation every once in a while and check where the breath is touching inside the nose, it will give you a sign that you have accomplished something. Don't try and figure it out perfectly. Just notice that there are shifts, and over time, noticing that, you may begin to pick up which sensation is which breath state. You can put it all together. You can grok it. But that might not happen at first. Don't worry about it. Just notice if the air, as it touches the sinus passage, has shifted. And if it has, celebrate, because you did something. You accomplished something in meditation, and this is cause for celebration. So that's what makes the breath states so valuable. You see, I realized that light was ethereal. It was mystical. It was not reliable. I didn't see it every single time. And maybe you don't feel like putting your hands up to press your ears and press your eyes. You just want to relax because you're feeling peaceful, and you don't want to break the peace that you've established in your body. So the breath states, you don't need any of that. You just need to remember to clean your sinus passage before you sit to meditate, which will make it more sensitive and make it easier to feel any shifts that take place. Breath states give you proof that meditation is working. And I hope that you will pick them up and try them out, because I think they're phenomenal. I really do. But in case you don't, in case they're too subtle for you to feel your nose, and you don't want to devote the time that it takes to develop that sensitivity, I'm going to give you a shortcut. So when you sit to meditate, and you sit very still, and you reduce the breath rate, and you take out the pauses, and you make the out breath slightly longer, and you sit very still and you don't move, then the first thing that you want to notice is that your hands, both of them, become hot and heavy. And if you've really succeeded in relaxing the whole body and reaching a deep state, then even more of your body will begin to feel hot and heavy. This is all a huge sign. It's a proof that you did something in meditation. And so I hope that every time you sit to meditate, you will notice that your hands get hot and heavy, because it's a really big deal. That is the first proof that you are entering heart rate variability. It's also the first proof that you have accomplished some of the breath states. When I heard Professor Gurvitz talking about heart rate variability, I realized, oh my God, that's what I accomplish with the breath states. So this is huge. Breath states equal heart rate variability. This is huge. The breath states actually track you through into the deepest states of heart rate variability. So if you can accomplish all of the breath states, you have accomplished the deepest heart rate variability, and you don't need any gear around your chest or gear on your finger to measure your heartbeat. None of that. You don't need any of that. All you need is your breath and your nose, and you're done. You can take that anywhere. You don't have to pack it in a suitcase. It's on you all the time. So this is why I'm so big on heart rate variability, because I practiced the breath states since I was in the ashram, since I turned them into a technique. That's 20 years, and I looked at Professor Gurvitz and I realized he's doing the same thing, but he's got a wonderful, beautiful medical name for it. So now we have yoga breath states and medical heart rate variability science. It's a gorgeous combination. Now, here's the real kicker, and I hope you're ready for this. Lahir Mashaye had a set of 4 numbers, which he wrote in his diaries. That first number was 12. 12 kriyas, or 12 pranayama breaths, right? 12 actions would put you into Pratyahara. The next number was 144, would give you self-realization. The next number 1728 would give you dhyana, which is integration with the unconscious. The last number, 20,736, will put you in samadhi. That many pranayamas will do each of those things. Now, to do 20,000 pranayamas takes about 9 days. And we know this because Lahiri did it. Lahiri Mahashaya sat for 9 days and did over 20,000 kriyas to prove his point. But the idea is that you build one day on the next, right? And hopefully, in between, you keep your peace. But the thing that I want to talk about are those first 2 numbers in particular for this video. 12 kriyas. I realized the thing that happens in meditation in the period of 12 kriyas is you get into heart rate variability. 12 kriyas, 12 pranayamas, 12 reduced breath rates will put you into heart rate variability, into the beginning stages of it. That balancing of the Ida and the Pingala, of the 2 nervous systems, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, will put you into balance. And that balance will get those 2 nervous systems out of the way so you can begin to experience a different parasympathetic. That's right, there are 2. And the yogis had a name for that. They call it the Sushumna. And I'm going to go over the polyvagal theory in another video because it will blow your mind. But right now, I just want to talk about the breath states. I want to talk about the breath. It's so reliable, and 12 of those suckers will put you into heart rate variability. And you got the proof because your hands become hot and heavy. Now, it may happen a little slower, it may happen quicker. I have one student, he does 1 breath, and his hands get hot and heavy, like that. So he's in the groove for that technique. Which is wonderful. I love it. But it might happen a little differently for you. It might happen a little differently for me. That's okay. It doesn't matter. 12 of those suckers will put you into heart rate variability. This is huge. Now, what about that number 144? So I was trying to figure out what really happens. What did he mean by self-realization? And then it hit me. If you do 144 kriyas and you do them really well, you may spontaneously see the light of the spiritual eye. And that light that you see makes you realize, I am not this just this physical flesh. I am not just this body. I am more than that. And that light proves it to you. The sound proves it to you. And that's what 144 kriyas will do for you. That's what a sustained heart rate variability will most likely do for you. There's other elements that come into play, so if it doesn't happen to you, that's okay. So now you have 2 gargantuan tools in your tool bag. You have the breath states, which I've taught, and you have heart rate variability, which I've taught. You've got the shortcut. You've got the shortcut to the breath states. You've got the medical terminology for Pratyahara. So breath states equal heart rate variability, which equals Pratyahara. So now you've got some really big tools. You've got a medical terminology for understanding what the hey these yogis were talking about. Ask somebody else to define Pratyahara. What is that? Well, it's interiorization. Okay, what is that? How do you know it happened? Well, I think you go into your spine. Well, that's a samadhi. If you go all the way in your spine, you're in samadhi. That's something different. What's Pratyahara? It's heart rate variability. Oh my God, this is huge. I figured it out. You don't have to see the light. If you do see light, great. I saw a tiny light. It wasn't big. Great. I saw it for a second. It wasn't very long. Great, celebrate, you did it. You reached that 144 moment. You should know you are more than just a body. That's wonderful. But those first 12 pranayamas, that first 12 breaths with the reduced breath rate, taking out the pauses, making the out breath slightly longer, guarantees heart rate variability, guarantees the beginning stages of Pratyahara. And this is everything. Even Patanjali said, you must practice pranayama with the intent of Pratyahara. You gotta get into heart rate variability. It is insanely huge. Pratyahara is everything in meditation. It's everything. I don't care if you're Buddhist, yogi, whatever. Heart rate variability equals Pratyahara, and Pratyahara is everything. So don't worry about the light. Light's great if it comes. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Don't worry about it. Every time you sit to meditate, get into heart rate variability. Get into Pratyahara and see how your life is transformed. You're saving heartbeats. You're saving your life. Every time you get into heart rate variability, you're saving a little bit of your life. Okay? You're gonna feel more peaceful. Your heart itself will feel more rested. Your digestive system will work better. Your brain will clear up. Suddenly your brain starts to feel like it's crystal clear, like you can see everything. Pratyahara is the beginning of real concentration, of really being able to draw on the deeper self to get inspiration, creative ideas, answers. It's a gorgeous, beautiful thing. So remember, you got it here first. Breath states, heart rate variability, and Pratyahara. They are all talking about the same thing. We just unraveled an ancient mystery. Isn't this exciting? Okay guys, I hope this was immensely valuable for you. If it was, be sure to subscribe, share it with all your friends, let all the yogis know heart rate variability and Pratyahara are the same thing.